Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braj Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna everyone. So we'll start with Prabhupada's Leela Mrita. Share my screen. This is where we stopped yesterday. The boys broke into cheers and applause. Achyutananda apologized to Swamiji for the language of the article. It's a hippie newspaper. It's all right, said Prabhupada. He has written it in his own way. But he has said that we are giving God. They are saying that God is dead. But it is false. We are directly presenting here is God. Who can deny it? So many theologians and people may say there is no God, but the Vaishnava hands God over to you freely as a commodity. Here is God. So he has marked this. It is very good. Save this paper. It is very important. The article was long. For the cynical new worker, it is said, living, visible, tangible proof can be found at 26 2nd Avenue, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 7 and 9. The article described the evening kirtanas quoted from Prabhupada's lecture and mentioned a rhythmic, hypnotic 16-word chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sung for hours on end to the accompan- accompan- accompaniment of hand clapping, cymbals, and bells. Swamiji said that simply because the mantra was there, the article was perfect. The article also included testimony from the Swami's disciples. I started chanting to myself like the Swami said when I was walking down the street. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, over and over. And suddenly everything started looking so beautiful. The kids, the old men, women, even the creeps looked beautiful. To say nothing of the trees and flowers, it was like I had taken a dozen doses of LSD. But I knew there was a difference. There is no coming down from this. I can always do this anytime, anywhere. It is always with you. Without sarcasm, the article referred to the Swamiji's discipline forbidding coffee, tea, meat, eggs, and cigarettes, to say nothing to marijuana, LSD, alcohol, and illicit sex. So obviously, the authors admired Swamiji, the energetic old man, a leading exponent of the philosophy of personalism, which holds that the one God is a person, but that his form is spiritual. The article ended with a hint that Tompkins Square Park would see similar spiritual happenings each weekend. There, in the shadow of Hoving Hill, God lives in a trance like dance and chant. October 12th, it was to be a love pageant rally. Morning California's new law prohibiting the possession of LSD, the rally's promoters urged everyone to come to Tompkins Square Park in the elaborate dress. Although the dress had nothing to do with LSD's laws, they took the rally as another opportunity to popularize the chanting of Hare Krishna. So they went with the Swami's blessing, carrying finger cymbals and a homemade tambourine. The devotees looked plain in their dark jeans and lightweight zippered jacket. All around them, the dress was extravagant. Tie-dyed, tie-dyed shirts, tie-bleached jeans, period costumes, painted faces. There was even a circus clown. Tully Kupferberg of the Fugs rock band carried an American flag with the stars rearranged to spell love. But so far, the rally had been a dud, just a strange set of drugged young people milling near the large tree where Swamiji had chanted and spoken just a few days before. Swamiji's boys made their way through the crowd to a central spot and started chanting Hare Krishna. A crowd pressed in close around them. Everyone seems to be in friendly spirits, just unorganized, without any purpose. The idea behind the rally had been to show love and a pageant of LSD vision, but not much had been happening. Someone was walking around a bucket of burning incense. Some hippies sat back on the park benches, watching everything through colored glasses. But the kirtana was attractive, and soon a crowd gathered around the boys as they chanted. So Kirtananda, his shaved head covered with a knit skull cap, stood beside tall Jagannath, who, with his dark framed glasses and wavy hair, looked like a great on owl playing hand cymbals. Om- Umapati also played hand cymbal, looked thoughtful. Brahmananda sat on the ground in front of them, his eyes closed and his mouth widely open, chanting Hare Krishna. Beside him and looking moody sat Raphael, and next to him, aesthetically thin faced Ravindra Swarupa. Close by, a policeman stood watching. The hippies began to pick up the chanting. They had come together, but there had been no center, no lecture, no amplified music. But now they began clapping and swaying, getting into the chanting it as if it were their single purpose. The chanting grew stronger, and after an hour the group broke into a spontaneous dance. joining hands and singing out Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. They skipped and danced together, circling the tree and Swamiji's discipline. To the hippies, it was in fact a love pageant rally. And they had found the love and peace they were searching for. It was in this mantra. Hare Krishna had become their anthem, their reason for coming together, the life of love pageant rally. They didn't know exactly what the mantra was, but they accepted it as something deep within the soul, a metaphysical vibration. They tuned in to it. Even the clown began chanting and dancing. Only the policeman remained aloof and sober, though he also could see that the new demonstration would be a peaceful one. The dance continued only the impending dusk brought the love pendant rally to a close. The devotee hurried back to Swamiji to tell him all that had happened. He had been sitting at his desk translating the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he had not been physically present at the Kirtana, his disciples had acted on his instructions. So even without leaving his room, he was spreading the chanting of Hare Krishna. Now he sat waiting for the report. They busted into his room with shining eyes, flushed faces, and hoarse voices, relating the good news. They had, not only had they dutifully chanted, but hundreds of people had joined them and sung and danced in a big circle in a spirit of unity. Swamiji, you should have been, Brahmananda exclaimed, his voice now exhausted from chanting. It was fantastic, fantastic. Prabhupada looked from one face to another and he also became like them, elated and hopeful that the chanting could go on like this. They had proved that their chanting of Hare Krishna could lead the love and peace movement. It could grow and hundreds could take part. It is up to you to spread this chanting, Swamiji told them. I am an old man, but you are young. You can do it. I'll stop there. And one to today's verse, which is from Canto 4, chapter 28, and verse number 6. Kanyopagudho nashta shri kripano vishayatmakah nashta-prajño hriteshwaryo gandharva-yavanirbalar Kanyopaguro nashta-shri kripano vishayatmaka nashta-prajño hriteshwaryo gandharva-yavanirbalar Kanyopagudho nashta-shri kripano vishayatmaka nashta-prajño hriteshwaryo gandharva-yavanirbalar. Anybody would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Kannapagato nashtasri kripana vishayatmaka nashta pragno ritashwarya gandharva yavanvirbalar. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am also trying.
Please try, Prabhuji.
Kanyapo guru nashtasri kripano vishayatmaka nashta pragyo rita sharyo gandharva yavano rivala. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Daji. Kannopogudha nashtasrihi kripano vishayatmakah nashtapragyo ritoishwaryo gandharva yavanoirbalat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, I am trying as well.
Yeah, please.
Kannapagudho nashta shri kripono vishayatmakah nashta pragyo hete isharyo gandharvai javanai balat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to try? We'll move on to a translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare
Please try.
Krishna. Yeah. Sorry. Hare Krishna. It's 28:6, na?
Yes, Mataji.
4:28. Where am I lost? Sorry, Mataji. Yes. Thank you. Kanyopagyudho naste Sri Ripanno Vishyatmaka Naste Pragyorishtaishwaryo Gandharva Yevanai Balat. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So I'll do word-to-word translation now. Kanya, by the daughter of time. Upagudha, being embraced. Nashtashri, bereft of all beauty. Kripana, miser. Vishyatmakaha, addicted to sense gratification. Nashta pragna, bereft of intelligence. Hita Aishwarya, bereft of opulence. Gandharva, by the Gandharvas. Gyavane, and by the Yavanas, Balat by force. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. When King Puranjana was embraced by Kalakanya, he gradually lost all his beauty. Having been too much addicted to sex, he became very poor in intelligence and lost all his opulence. Being bereft of all possessions, he was conquered forcibly by the Gandharvas and the Yavanas. So when a person is attacked by the invalidity of old age and is still addicted to sense gratification, he gradually loses all his personal beauty, intelligence, and good possession. He thus cannot resist the forceful attack of the daughter of time. The question pairs. Om Jnana Gyanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Vena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paitana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Din Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha namo Vishnu padaya Krishna vishaya bhutale Swami Tinamane namo Vishnu Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Tade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Stop sharing. Excuse me. So, interesting verse today. It's about sense gratification and how Puranjana was very old, as it's suggested that he was embraced by the Kalakanya, the daughter of time. So when the daughter of time comes, then people aged over time. So even at that age, he was too attached to sense gratification, and then one will lose all his beauty, intelligence, and good position. So Narad Muni is trying to explain to King Prachina, Varisht, and all of us that if we remain addicted to sense gratification throughout our life, then we will lose everything. He's trying to break his tendencies to sense gratification. It's like there is one example of a sage. We have Mataji, can you please mute your mic? Thank you, Mataji. So we may have heard many places where King Indra gets very terrified if somebody is trying to do some tapasya. So there was one sage who was worshipping, and Remi got scared, and they wanted that person to fall down because they are always insecure about their throne. So they sent one apsara, and he got attracted to the apsara. He forgot about his tapasya, his worshipping, and he started enjoying with her for many long time. And then one day he told apsara that, okay, now I had enough time with you. Now I have to go and do my Sandhya Vandanam. And she said, for so many years you have not done Sandhya Vandanam, then why today? And he was like, why so many days? You just came this morning. And he said, no, it was not this morning. I came 900 years, 99 months, and 9 days before. So that's what the addiction to sense gratification does. It illusions the people. There's so much time has passed away and he didn't even realize. And there is similar stories from scriptures, which you would have known about. The story of Ajamila was such a good Brahmana. He was doing every dharmic activities nicely. He was taking care of his parents nicely. He was worshipping Lord. He was doing Sandhya Vandanam 3 times. Oh, Sandhya Vandanam 1 time only, but all the other Vandanams. And suddenly he loses everything. He just goes to a forest for worshipping, to get flowers for the worship, and he sees a prostitute, and just a thought of lusty desires, he lost everything. His knowledge, his intelligence, everything was gone. Similarly, what we see here, that if somebody is too much addicted to sex or sex life or sense gratification, then everything is lost. So the key message in all these examples is that good qualities and knowledge of scriptures get covered when lust develops. So people are not able to use that knowledge even if they are knowledgeable. But is lust the real problem? So is that the root problem? That is, of course, a real problem. But is that the root of all problem? So what is the root? Does it just automatically comes? So we see that it is the third problem. So before lust, attachment comes. And before attachment, the contemplation of that sinful thought comes, which is said in Bhagavad Gita as Dhyayato Vishwana Pumsa. So repeatedly contemplating on bad thought leads to attachment, and that leads to lust. So initially, when we talk about repeated contemplation, then that begins with, even repeated contemplation begins with attraction principle. So in the case of Ajamila, he didn't start contemplating on it until he saw a sight. So he saw a sight where a prostitute was with another man, and he got attracted to that thought. And because he got attracted to that thought, and then he started contemplating, and then slowly he got attached, and slowly his lust developed more and more. So the difference between the attraction stage and the attachment stage is that attraction is the beginning stage and attachment is much stronger stage. So, but attraction can happen for both two things. It can happen for the Lord as well. It can happen for illusion as well. But when we put our attraction, or we get attracted to illusionary steps, then that is called moha. But when somebody gets attracted to Lord, then that is prema. So attraction to devotional activities, if somebody gets really attracted to devotional activities, that's a very good situation. So if somebody is like, oh, I want to do kirtan, I want to do cooking, I want to study Bhagavatam every day, I want to do deity worship. Somebody is attracted to Holy Dham, I want to go to Vrindavan, Mayapur. Every year I want to go and visit these places. So somebody is attracted to Sangha of devotees, that, oh, I want to meet devotees, have kirtan, have prasad together. But that is a blessing. If somebody has those attraction, that's a blessing. And they must have done something good in this life or in the past life to get that blessing from the great Vaishnava acharyas. But if one doesn't have these sort of positive attractions, positive spiritual attractions, then one will have some sort of negative attraction, because mind cannot be blank. So those negative attractions could be the attraction for wealth, for opposite sex, for name, fame, power, eagerness to impress others. So this attraction eventually then it will turn into bad attachment. But if somebody is at an attraction level, even at a bad attraction level, it's easier to lift them from that towards the attraction of spiritual activities. But if somebody develops more and more attachment to those illusionary activities, then it is more difficult to push them towards spirituality. So the key is that we need to cut down our attraction from the beginning level, before it leads to attachment, before it leads to lust, because then it is more difficult to overcome. So there is one time Prabhupada was going for a morning walk with a professor, and he was very fond of that professor. So professor asked one question to Prabhupada during the morning walk, that how one can deal with the problem of lust. And Prabhupada stopped walking. He was holding a stick. He turned around the stick and he turned around and said, unless you become Krishna conscious, there is no solution. And he repeated, there is no solution. And then he continued walking. He took a few steps. And then he turned around again and said, unless you become Krishna conscious, there is no solution. So what Prabhupada is telling, that we must become completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in the holy name. Then only we can be protected from the worldly attraction. And then, of course, there are so many rules and regulations given as well to follow the process. It's just like when we want to grow a plant, a small plant, we'll put fence around it. The fences are like rules and regulations. So we want to protect the plant with the wind. We want to put the weed mat so that no weeds comes around and the plant can grow properly. But just by doing all these, does the plant grow? Does it nourish? We can protect the plant to the current stage where it is, but we can't really make the plant grow healthier and healthier. So for the plant to grow healthier, the key is that it must get some nourishment as well. So with the protection, it must have the nourishment, and the nourishment part should be stronger. So that nourishment is to nourish it with fertilizer, to water. And that's why when we get into the spiritual life, we need to water our Bhakti Lata with the water of holy name. Then only it get nourished, then only it will grow. And once the tree grows very big, very huge, very strong, then it possibly don't need those fences or other things around to protect it. Even the weeds can't shake the tree. So it doesn't need too much artificial protection. So same thing, when somebody has become stronger in spiritual life, then the rules and regulations are good. But then the driving force is that the own spiritual taste that makes the person grow more and more. If we go back to the Ajamila's case, he was in a good situation earlier. He was a Brahmana and he was doing everything very nicely. And suddenly he stopped just at a bad side. Suddenly he lost the taste. Why? Suddenly, if somebody stops the devotional activities, what happened? So it's because that person has not developed any taste in the things that they were doing. And if one loses the taste in devotional activity, then they must have developed the taste in other activities. So in case of Ajamila, he even stopped thinking about his Brahminical activities. And he started developing more and more his attachment towards his activities with the prostitute. So he could suddenly give up because he was not spiritually strong. He lost his intelligence because the lust covered his intelligence. And knowledge was also covered. So it is there like, it is said, if there is a walking path, and if you want to keep it a walking path, some activity must happen. So we must continue our spiritual practices for it to remain active. Otherwise, it will get covered. So if walking path, nobody is walking, then after a few years, the weeds will grow. We won't even see there was a walking path there. But if every day somebody is walking, then with the people stamping over it, this weeds and everything will get removed and it will remain like a walking path. So that's the key, that Prabhupada books, reading books, chanting, it makes us fresh in our consciousness and our daily sadhana. So if one is not chanting properly, not reading properly, not serving every day, either at home or doesn't have to be a temple every day, but we are losing taste. We are slowly will be covered, even if somebody has reached to a higher state, but that will be covered because it's not regular. So there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita which Krishna says about lust. He's saying, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material modes of passion and later transformed into Vat, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So lust is the enemy of this world. So so in the purport, he is explaining the material creation, how so he's saying, when a living entity comes in contact with material creation, his eternal love for Krishna consciousness is transformed into lust because it comes into the mode of passion. So what we have to do is we have to reverse it. We have to go into mode of goodness and transform lust into love. It gives example that just like milk in contact with sour tamarind, which is the material creation or the modes of passion, it transforms into yogurt. So then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into what? And then it turns into illusion. And that will make one continue into this illusionary world. So he's saying, therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. But if therefore mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, so instead of we going into the mode of ignorance from passion, if we go higher to elevate it to mode of goodness, how we can do that, he's saying, by prescribed method of living and acting. So then one can be saved from degradation of Vat by spiritual attachment. So he also mentions in one of the purport, during a Jamala story which I was reading, he said that there are so many dangers in the material world that one may fall down from an exalted position anytime. But yet, if one keeps himself always pure and steady by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he will be safe without a doubt. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. He is asking us to remain always pure in our consciousness. And he uses the word steady. If we remain steady in our sadhana, then we will be safe without a doubt. So steadiness can only happen in mode of goodness. It is impossible that we get too much into mode of passion and ignorance and we can still have a steady sadhana, like sleeping early, rising early, regularly chanting every day in around the same time or roughly around the same time in the morning, and doing some sort of morning program consists of chanting, deity worship, Bhagavatam study. every day studying Bhagavatam, it will keep one steady. Prabhupada is saying one should be steady in spiritual life, right? Which means consistent. So not like one day we are chanting 16 rounds in the morning, one day in the evening at night. So that's not steady, that's going up and down. So, but if we can consistently do these spiritual practices and prioritize the chanting to be the most important thing to do in a day, then that will bring steadiness in our spiritual life. But consistency is only possible if we turn more towards mode of goodness. Because in passion, steady sadhana is possible, but it will happen only for a short time. One will give up. But if one remains in mode of goodness and set realistic target for themselves according to their time, place, and circumstances, then they can sustain it for a very long time. So this way, one can avoid to being covered by through our daily practice. We can keep eye on our progress, track our sadhana. It's like beating our mind that how are we tracking? Are we tracking every day? Just we should focus or check our progress with ourselves. So how are we progressing? If we are going down, then we can see if we are tracking every day. Like there are some people use sadhana cards and other things to keep tracking to see how we are doing and are we progressing. Is the trend line going up, the trend line going down? So the act is to do it consistently, but one can do it consistently if they have a little taste for it. You can't force yourself to do something without having any taste in it. So this is a self-test we can do. Like, is my mind really developing some or even little taste for devotional service? Is it easy to think like highly of ourselves that we are doing wonderful? But what is the proof? We need to go for the proof that are we really developing some taste? So some measures could be that, are we really enthusiastic about studying Bhagavatam? If someday we didn't study, do we feel something is missing out? Are we very enthusiastic of chanting? If someday chanting didn't happen as well, as good as how it should be, do we feel something is missing, I could have done better? Or if we are doing some service, like there people have taste for, like somebody is looking after Tulsi Maharani at temple or looking after deities, and they're doing it, they have great taste for it. So if someday they're not doing it, they will feel, oh, I've missed it. But if for any service we feel, oh, the service got cancelled, and we're like, ah, good, then that taste is not there. So if the service gets cancelled and we feel, oh yeah, I'm gonna miss it, oh, I wish I could have done it, so then that person has the taste for it, little taste to do it. So we understand that by getting a higher taste, which is taste for Krishna consciousness, is better. But how can we get the taste? So I was reading Mahatma Prabhu's article where he explained that you can get it by understanding what is your motive, what is our motive. So if we mainly want to please Krishna and Guru, then we will develop spiritual taste faster. As we become happy when Krishna becomes happy and Guru is pleased, if we are happy just pleasing the Guru and pleasing Krishna, then we will develop the spiritual taste faster. It's like gopis, the most elevated devotees of Krishna. If you see their qualities, they're beyond our understanding. But if we notice their qualities, they never wanted anything for their pleasures. But just to see, oh, Krishna is so happy to meet me, they become more and more happy. So that's how the spiritual taste works. So spiritual taste that we get from Krishna consciousness is far different than what one gets from sense gratification, because one is based on purified senses and the other one comes by the byproduct of the lust, but they can't go together. So Srila Prabhupada tells us that taste is the secret of success. He's saying taste is the secret of success of spiritual life. So if like even if we take this in other example, in other context, if anybody is successful, suppose they have set up a business, or they are a good student, or they have got something successful they have achieved, then they cannot succeed if they don't have a little taste to carry out that certain activity. So when we have a stronger attraction for Krishna consciousness, then craving for sense gratification will automatically become less and less. One symptom that Mahatma Prabhu says, he shares, that as the taste for devotional life increases, so does the desire to serve Lord in devotional service increases. So it is the presence of our desire. We become like truly unfortunate if we think that we can really be happy with something else other than the devotional activity. But of course, in the initial stage, we need to balance our life. We can't do devotional service 24/7. But whatever we are doing, are we having some interest in it? But to an advanced stage where people get some taste, is it comes from the purification of their senses. Like Harinam Chintamani says that when a person's heart is purified, he awakens interest and taste for development of bhakti. So it is important to understand that real taste comes with purified senses. And this taste has nothing to do with material motivation. So it's a desire of all devotees. Like even Krishna wanted to taste the love of Godhead. He came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that is very advanced stage. So, but it comes with when all our senses are purified and we have given up on most of the material desires. So in one of his lectures, Srila Prabhupada was asked, how can you track whether you are becoming Krishna conscious or not? And he replied, two things: according to your renunciation and by your freedom from sexual desire. So these are the two things that one can track whether you're becoming advanced. But and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that how do you recognize a mature devotees? So he's saying he can recognize by his taste for the holy name. So if we notice that we are getting more and more attached to Krishna and chanting his holy name, then we are on the right track. But if the chanting is more of a burden and we're just trying to finish it up, which of course we haven't developed that taste, but even person is a little bit enthusiastic in their chanting, little bit attentive, trying to be attentive, then Krishna will eventually help us to develop that taste. Because there are 9 stages of bhakti. The stages starts from Shraddha, where we develop faith, then Sadhu Sangha, where we associate with devotees, then Bhajan Kriya, where people are trying to perform devotional service with the direction of their spiritual master. And then the Anartha Nivritti comes after doing some steady sadhana, that all these anarthas, slowly, unwanted attachment goes away from our heart. But anartha nivritti is a very strong and difficult stage. Then comes the nishtha, where steadiness develops in the devotee, which is quite advanced. And then comes the ruchi, which is the taste. And then comes asakti, the attachment for the holy name and Krishna. And then bhava comes, where that little bit affection, not little, but a lot of affection comes for the Lord. And then comes the prema stage, which is love for Krishna. So if we see, the ruchi is quite high before we even pass all the other stages, which is faith, sadhu sangha, bhajan kriya, anartha nivritti. So, but ruchi is more like, if we have passed all of that stage, all the other stages, like climbing uphill. It is working really hard. But once we have worked hard and somebody has developed that ruchi stage, then it is like going downhill. Because at this stage, Krishna consciousness for that person is mainly driven by taste. It's mainly, even if there are no rules and regulations, it will be spontaneously that person would want to do something. So at every stage, but we require a little bit of interest, little bit of desire to do something. So it has to be motivated by taste. Prabhupada gives a very nice instruction in this aspect, that as one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes clear and more encouraging. So initially it's a little bit unclear, but the more we read, the more we chant, it slowly becomes more and more clear and encouraging. But then he says, unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instruction of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. So one key instruction he's saying, to follow the instruction of the spiritual master. And then he's saying that therefore one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is the test of one's devotional service. So first taste we have to develop is the taste or our attachment to execute the instruction of our spiritual master. And that is the test of one's devotional service. And the most important instruction that we all have got from our spiritual master is chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regulative principles. So once we develop that taste of executing it, that instruction, then we become more and more advanced. So that's all I have to mention today. If anybody has any comments or any questions, please let me know.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Done with Pranam Prabhuji.
Very, very good morning starts with this explanation of Sloka 6. Yes, yeah. Your explanation about the attraction is so important. How you get attraction? Attraction may be two directional. Is that attraction towards materialistic way of life, another is the spiritual way of life. So choice is ours, and we need to make our life purposeful in spiritual advancement. Attraction need to be changed. It need to be modified, the direction. And you have given this such an elaborate explanation with the examples of Ajamil. And another example of Indra, and we can see Billamangal Thakur also. The same thing, even they are in a very advanced stage. The attraction may be redirected towards illogical way. So it is very, very important for us to remain steady and remain focused in our daily sadhanas. Srila Prabhupada speaks every time. The only way to keep you steady in your progress is the chanting. That's why the morning program is such a way developed and charted so that you don't get diverted. As you give an example of the weeds, if you don't walk upon the path, it remains covered with the weed. The same thing happens in our spiritual advancement. If we don't follow the practices as designed by Srila Prabhupada, the morning program, chanting, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with the devotees, that keeps us the weeds away from our life and keep our steadiness in spiritual advancement. So those are the things, and then the 9 processes allows us to progress step by step. So these are the very basic things that are very, very important, and we can see from this text how Ajamil has, how this King Puranjana has lost everything because of his attraction towards the different direction, and that Narad Muni wanted to focus his attraction so that still he can be diverted toward the right path by his example and advice. And that is what the text is telling us. Thank you so much for elaborating the attraction is so important for us. We get attracted very easily, but the question is attraction for what? Is a big question. So if we control our attraction in the right direction, life is good. Otherwise, it's very painful. As you can see from that test, everybody attacks you, and you become forceful to that attachment and lose everything. You lose your beauty, you lose all your intelligence, all position, and ultimately the life is become so sorrowful. So that is the advice given by Narad Muni to King Puranjana, and that is one of the best advice for all of us too. And you can see from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, he was just encouraging his followers, and with that he was also advising them the right path in the life, how they changed from hippie style to spiritual style. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for this very nice class, but really elaborating the crucial points of this verse, and which has got a very small purport, but you have very nicely pointed out the theme of that verse. Thank you for that. And one thing that comes in my mind in this regard is that often, even in our movement, particularly for the devotees, there is a serious problem sometimes, and that is the problem of, although we know that the path of life is what and how it is different from material life, and we have accepted that path, but the problem often comes is that as Prabhupada has often told, that is, we underestimate the power of the Maya Shakti. And in verse 7.14, Sri Krishna has told Arjuna, it is very difficult to underestimate the influence of the Maya Shakti, or to get rid of that. And the only way is to surrender to the Lord. So these two happen. When there is Lord, there is no Maya Shakti. And incidentally, these are the two opposite things. And where there is Krishna, there is no Maya. One has to underestimate it. But often, because we are in this material world, the Maya Shakti is so strong, often the devotees underestimate it. They think that we are in the path of devotion, it will not affect us. But you have very nicely told, unless we are connected on a regular basis at every moment, because the moment we are not with Krishna, the moment we are in Maya, at the same moment we are in Maya. So it is always, it is fluctuating for a practicing devotee from Krishna to Maya. So unless we are fixed and we have any doubt on any point, the Maya will takes over us. So we have to associate, you have rightly told, in our sadhana, so that we remain with our sadhana fixed, or we remain with the devotees where the Lord things are being discussed. And again, devotee association does not mean merely mixing with devotees. That is not enough. Where Krishna Katha is discussed and the devotees discuss about Krishna, that is association of devotee. And not, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told it one, or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj probably, that sitting on the same bench and sitting and bathing in the same ghat does not make us equal. We have to always understand, when we are discussing with the Lord, only then we are devotee. Otherwise, it is a material situation. So we should always remember that. Otherwise, we'll be drifted away by Maya. So if we consider the Maya Shakti as very strong, and so strong, in a stronger way, we accept the Lord and His service, then we are saved from Maya. And when there is sun, there is no question of darkness. So we must always remember that. And in this way, we can keep ourselves safe in association with the devotees, discussing with the Lord, and we should be focused. We should be extremely careful about our sadhana or chanting of the holy names. And in this way, we can get rid of Maya Shakti and remain fixed in our devotional service. And by following the Guru and Guru and Gaurango, by the blessing of Guru and Gaurango, we'll be able to make our life successful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Brahman.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Janma Pranam. Thank you for a very nice analysis of this verse. I mean, it really took us from the root cause and how to avoid it, and we mentioned about the Nava Bhakti, sorry for other Shraddha for Sadhu Sangha. So my question is, it starts with Shraddha, faith, but somebody who's outside when you go out fishing, they have no inclination to Shraddha. So how does one get Shraddha? It's a precondition for starting the Nava Bhakti. So how does one get Shraddha? Especially people who are outside, we devotees already know about it, but for people outside, if they want to start off this devotional service, Shraddha, or this initial stage of faith is important. So how does one get that?
That's why we have got so many people preaching around to find the people who have little bit the seed of faith, and to fan that faith and bring them to a Shraddha level. So by listening, so when a lot of people do programs for the beginner levels who haven't known about the bhakti process so much, so when they hear from the start, they keep coming to the programs, they hear Bhagavad Gita, they listen to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, slowly they get purified, and then they develop the faith. So they might have a little bit faith from their past various pious karmas, that they are attracted to these things, but then slowly they develop faith by regularly hearing and participating in these preaching programs. That answer your question, Prabhuji?
Yeah, thank you. We also distribute prasadam, holy name. So people who are never heard of Hare Krishna or devotees, just by taking some prasadam or hearing the holy name, they might get attracted. They develop initial faith, just so they can come to the process. At least as still by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Basi and Acharya's Basi, they get this seed to start the process. Thank you very much for your explanation. But very nice class. I really like your analysis, and from last how it develops and the process of overcoming it, which is very important. We have the issue, we know the problem, but the solution, that's what we really emphasize, which is very important. I really like it. Thank you, Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I think there will be no other question. First, we will end the class here. Thank you very much.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णव की जय। हर ग्रेस अनंगलता माता जी की जय। प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your nice class.